It's alright.
Oh my god!
Yo guys, what is up? Max on Borderlands 3 video, and today we're talking about our build Big Boom Boyo. Now, we're gonna do a little quick overview of what this build does differently, and then we'll get into the intro and the skill tree. So, what this build does is it uses duct tape mod, which was recently changed to give Zane immunity to his own self damage when you spec at least 1 point into this. That means that anything that does splash damage, we're now immune to. We cannot kill ourselves with this damage. Now, there are some caveats that we'll explain later, but we're going to be using weapons with splash damage, with weapons that normally could kill us, and running around at max speed, and just basically killing everything. Now, on top of us doing that, we're also going to be giving our clone our weapon, and because we're using Mantis Cannon, we can use all weapons with 200 ASE Splash, which is the only anointment that buffs clone. So our clone is going to be doing a ton of splash damage. We are going to be doing a ton of splash damage. We are immune to all of our splash damage, and that is the build. I hope you guys enjoyed the little intro, and then we'll break down the skill tree and the rest of the gear. Enjoy! Alright guys, hope you enjoyed that little intro. Real quick, showing on screen is the skill trees for Big Boom Boyo. Now, we are a blue tree capstone, red tree capstone, purple halfway tree. Gonna be honest with you guys, I test all of my builds in multiple different skill tree configurations. This one was genuinely hard to test because with the ASC 200 splash setup, with Frozen Hearts, with the Spy, with an Icebreaker Victory Rush, it's almost like it doesn't matter what you spec because you will just murder everything. Everything is just dying in one shot. However, I decided to do Blue Tree based off of personal preference because I think Violent Violence and playing Dirty just feel really good. Getting that extra reload speed, having points into Good Misfortune, and Deathfall is close. Just felt really good, and I felt like I was killing things just a smidge faster. Purple Tree is amazing, but if you don't aim down sights, you're losing a lot of damage, and some weapons are a lot easier to aim down sights with, and we are going to be using a Spy so that we still get our man Flint. Weapons like the Nukem, super easy to just like aim down sight real quick and get that V2 damage. Class mod wise, Spy is good. I think the Spy is the best thing you can use. You're going to be looking for a 4 commitment 1 capstone Spy. I did test with the other ones, but so far the Spy has been my favorite. Now, real quick, I want to talk about this self-damage because it's probably going to confuse a little bit of you, and I don't want anyone killing themselves. So we are immune to our own self-damage, but we are not immune to dot damage. So, Cryo doesn't leave a dot. Cryo is the only status effect that doesn't dot us, and so we're going to be using Cryo because we aren't immune for our dots. So if I was using an ASE fire and I got dotted by my fire, that fire dot would kill me. So here we shot Cryo. Notice that we take the Cryo status effect. However, we did not die. If I use radiation, I'm immune to radiation. It's not going to kill me, but it will proc a dot that kills me. So for our action skill and anointments, for our shields, for our anointments on our guns, don't use next to mags fire. Don't use ASE fire, ASE rad. Everything has to be cryo or kinetic. Using kinetic weapons with splash, using a 100 ASE on a cryo weapon is fine. Just don't use any other elements besides kinetic and cryo for this build. Now, I do recommend having at least one kinetic or one non-cryo weapon on you, such as like a plasma coil or a flacker, so that if you encounter a cryo immune enemy, you can actually kill them pretty quickly instead of just shooting at them and them being immune forever. That is why I typically carry around a plasma coil with me. Also, clone is dummy strong with a plasma coil. Let's finish talking about gear and then we'll go skill tree. So using a spy, I already explained that. Icebreaker Victory Rush is just amazing with this. We're going to be using the Frozen Heart. Frozen Heart procs on every spam of the Mantis Cannon. It's stupid. Everything is going to be freezing. It's just free damage. And we can roll area of effect on this. Do not use a Pearl on this build. It is so much better to rock Icebreaker. Even if you don't have a Victory Rush, an Icebreaker is going to help tremendously. For grenades, it doesn't really matter. Mainly, either use a ASE Cryo, Anoint, or an on grenade throw. Because we only have a few points into Duct Tape Mana, and it's our only way of throwing a grenade, I do recommend using ASE Cryo and our Frozen Heart. Action Skill Start will freeze everything weapon-wise. Gonna talk about some of my favorites. I love using the Flacker on this build. I love using the Nukem. It's so much fun. For our clone weapons, the clone can still damage itself. Clone can still hurt itself. So if you give the clone a Nukem, for example, odds are it'll kill itself. However, there are certain weapons that it definitely kills itself less with, and the Sandhawk is a weapon that does splash damage, benefits from splash damage, but can't roll with splash damage. If you give the clone a Sandhawk, you can boost its damage by activating your action skill and Anoint on the clone, and the clone will get splashed into the Sandhawk. That is also disgusting. Plasma Coil is good. It doesn't seem to kill itself that often with the Plasma Coil. Plague Bear is a good one. Of my favorite weapons, I like the Critical Thug a ton. I do like the Bangarang. You can actually use the Bangarang on this build. The Plague Bear is really good. The Contained Blast throwback weapon, super, super strong. The Prompt Critical and the Craps are my two favorite pistols to use on this build. Both of them really, really strong and just shred on this build. The Complex Root is our fastest. Besides the Plague Bear, Complex Root is probably our fastest AoE clear. You basically just aim down sights and it'll nuke a whole screen. That was that Valk kill. Like, you literally don't even have to aim at enemies. It'll just nuke everything on your screen for you. And because we're able to use Fugitive, we can basically just run around and sprint around and fire our weapons and just run through the splash damage. It's a lot of fun, really cool build. That is it for the gear. For a skill tree, there's not too much to explain here, to be honest, guys. I didn't go Borrowed Time because we're not using Seeing Dead. Our clone is going to go down. It's gonna happen. It's all right. I didn't think you could take these points from Trick of the Light and put them into Borrowed Time. That would be honestly fine. We didn't go Fractal Frags because Fractal Frags is almost a DPS loss when your clone is throwing the grenades, and it's going to be throwing them a decent amount. It is not shooting its weapon, and we want it to be shooting its weapon because grenades don't do that much damage versus clone with gun does do a ton of damage. Pocket full of grenades is enough to regen our grenades. Boom Enhanced so that our clone can do more damage. Synchronicity isn't like amazing here because we're using cannon and not like a duration skill. However, it's still nice to have just this little bit of extra gun damage. It's not going to matter too much when we're getting plus 54% gun damage from commitment, but I still spect it. Leave me alone. For Purple Tree, Deja Vu, I decided not to go. This is a cool skill. However, we're using Torg weapons and Malawan weapons that are going to be carrying us with their splash damage. Because they're carrying us with our splash damage, we're not really aiming for crits too much. Didn't feel Deja Vu was that impactful. We're mainly here for commitment. And because we're using a Spy class mod, we can aim down sights and get that Capstone V2 damage without actually having to spec all the way down the tree. Lastly, One cool thing to mention, if you guys want to do this, you can. I still think the spy performs better, but because we are using cryo and cryo ASCs, if you want to give yourself some speed boosts when you self-freeze yourself and you're using an anti-freeze, you're going to get 100% movement speed. If you want to zoom around the map, that is a fun way of doing it. You're just going to get a ton of movement speed, kill some enemies, get some more movement speed. It is good stuff. That is kind of it for the build. There isn't that much else to talk about. I hope you guys enjoyed it. The save file will be in the Discord. Just a shorter video for you guys. A lot of fun. Splash damage. Zane Builds. I will catch y'all in the next one. Take care. Peace. I was putting